First word that comes to mind.
Frustrated.
Already? Welcome to the sofa, Helen James, CEO of The Gate.
Hi.
Thanks for joining us.
Thank you for inviting me.
What does after work mean to you?
After work means my kids, my husband, our dog, chill time, relaxing, replenishing my energy banks with reading, friends, doing sort of stuff outside of work. But I think it is a tricky question. I think my identity is, very much built on my work. And so thinking about sort of that separation of the two things can be challenging. But I think as I've got older and as time passes, you understand sort of how you need to show up in different ways for different people, and actually the importance of out of work and how you sort of need to use that to make yourself better in work. So it's a complex one.
So you recently moved from Forsman and Bodenfors
Yeah.
to The Gate London. Congratulations.
Thank you.
When you announced your new role, you said, I didn't want to shake things up too much because The Gate already has strong foundations. Can you tell us what the specific foundations are and which ones you believe are the most valuable?
So I moved, and I think it's very easy as a leader, and almost easier as a leader, to come in and sort of change everything. And there's a real, I suppose, sense and energy around driving change. But I think sometimes more important, or as important, is the stuff that's working really well that you hold on to. And there are some fantastic people there. There's a real sense of sort of energy around partnerships, around the creative work, around the ambition. And I think I was very conscious to sort of be careful to protect those things and be careful to build on what was already there and what was already working really, really well.
But there's something very comforting in a group of employees hearing that you're not coming in to smash everything up.
Yeah.
Especially if they've been through a lot of change.
Yeah.
Because in a new role, often your instinct is, well, this is my way, and so I'm going to try and pop that into The Gate.
Yeah.
But actually what you're doing, which is very emotionally intelligent, is going, let me learn about what you're doing first and see if I can improve it.
Yeah.
Or see if everything's working brilliantly and I can only enhance.
Yeah, totally. And so much of it, I think, the big learning is energy, and is, when you've been through change, just a different style of energy turning up create some change anyway. So it's how you can apply that energy in the right places in the right way to help and support people to do more brilliant stuff. And look, none of us are perfect. We get it wrong at times, and I'm sure I've sort of stepped into things or overstepped through my career for sure. But I think if you do the right thing, you act with integrity and humanity, then I think people will come with you. And I think that's so much of sort of a leader's role, is bringing everyone with you and sort of showing them what we can achieve together.
So you have said emotion and vulnerability are celebrated in advertising, but often lacking in leadership. How do you encourage emotionally led leadership?
It's interesting. I don't know how to be any other way. An old client of mine, a guy called Jeff Dodds, who's now CEO at Formula E, great guy, said to me ages ago, be yourself, Helen. Like, you've got it, you know what you need to do, but make those decisions and feel comfortable being yourself. And I think from that moment forward, I've sort of, this is the way I lead. I don't know how to do it any other way. I think there's a difference for me. Emotion is a very big word and sort of spans lots of different sort of levels and styles of emotion. And I think I definitely show up in different ways at different times for my teams, for my clients, for my stakeholders. And I try to, as much as I possibly can, either show vulnerability in some moments, because I think that's really important, and I really believe in vulnerability and opening up to people. But also sometimes it's better for me to show up in an inspiring, bringing confidence. And I think you have to be able to adjust your leadership style to cope with those changes. I think it can be really unsettling at some moments if people are too vulnerable, or if you're vulnerable all the time, because it can sort of create a bit of a sense of what's going on to certain groups of people. Yeah. I think in smaller groups, showing that vulnerability with your leadership team is really, really important. But I think knowing how and when to apply it is critical. But a start point of it being sort of emotionally led, I suppose, for me, would be the important thing. I think the other thing is I try to, and I'm probably not brilliant at this, but signal when my leadership style is changing. So you can sort of go, I'm going to sort of dig into this more now, and I'm going to be working alongside you to help you unpack this thing, whatever it is, or or I'm going to step back now because I'm going to focus on this thing and this is how I'm going to show up. I try to sort of signal those things and be as explicit as and overt as I can around them, because I think it's helpful for teams to understand how you're feeling and how you're showing up, and therefore how they respond to it.
Oh, interesting. So you actually direct whoever you're speaking to at that point and go, at this point, we need a bit more energy and a bit more vavavoom, and therefore, here's my inspiration for you.
Yeah, or it might be I sort of say to a team member, I'm going to step back and lead you and leave you to do this here now. I'm very much here, very much supporting, very much a sounding board, but you've got this. Off you go. So just trying to use that emotion to unpack your role within the business,
Yeah.
and then also hopefully, inspire autonomy and get people to sort of step up into their leadership as well.
And bend and adjust depending on the situation.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, it's not static. Leadership isn't a static thing, isn't it? It changes continually. And I think you have to be comfortable with sort of how that flexes and changes through your year, through your month, through your week, God, often through your day.
I think it's really interesting, though, to sit back and go, what do I need to be in this situation? And I'm sure we all adjust and bend for whatever situation we need, because we're very complex emotional creatures. But to actually go, this situation needs my energy, and then convey that to the people you're talking to is really interesting.
Yeah.
So you've also said, in a world of efficiency, we've forgotten how much effort it takes to get to and sell brilliant work. It can feel too difficult, but surely that's half the fun. I like the thought of hard work being super enjoyable. So how do you encourage healthy perseverance in your teams?
Perseverance is really, really hard. And I think in a world of what is now instant gratification, it's hard to see the benefit of perseverance at times. I think it's our job as leaders to role model that and inspire people and show people and show up as, with that perseverance. I think as humans, when you get knocked back, either by, a piece of work that you're not able to sell, or having to go again on something, or not getting somebody internally or externally to buy into it, it can be very easy just to put it to one side and move on to the next thing. But being able to come back to that thing and showing that sort of perseverance to keep building it, keep, crafting it, and keep sort of protecting it is really difficult. I mean, I think I worked with the wonderful Ian Hartfield. We were having a conversation about creative ideas. He said, coming up with the idea in lots of ways is the easy part. Actually protecting it, growing it, developing it, selling it, and then protecting it as you sort of evolve it and take it everywhere now that ideas need to show up, and then make it and put it out in the world. It's a really long, hard process. And I don't think we talk about that enough. I don't think we as teams talk about how hard that can be and how much work is involved. We see brilliant work that's celebrated and sort of wins brilliant awards. And we sort of look at that and you see the output and you see the award and you go, oh, great. And you don't realize that probably a couple of years that's gone into that, and the hard work and the sweat and the perseverance. And I think it's important that we talk about that stuff.
But how do you inject the fun into perseverance?
I think you have to bring energy to it. I'm quite a sort of high energy leader. I think you have to bring energy. I think you have to inspire people around sort of where you're going, and sort of almost break it down into smaller chunks. Like if you just look at the end goal, lots of the time it can feel too far away and just too difficult. So you have to sort of break it into lots of sprints rather than one marathon. And I think you need to continually, as I say, role model it and show up in that way. It would be the worst thing in the world if the leadership team were saying to everybody persevere, but weren't doing it themselves. I really believe that, that whole see it to be it thing, you've got to show up in the way that you want your teams to work and show up every day to their jobs.
Yeah.
I think there's another thing, like perseverance and resilience are interconnected and sometimes confused, but I used to think that resilience was my greatest strength. I would go and go and go, no matter how hard it was, I was always there with it. And I think more recently I've realized it can tip into a weakness. And I think it can be difficult for other people that I work with if I'm like continually go, go, go. And I think it can also be damaging for yourself. So understanding how and where you pause and you reflect and you rebuild your energy reserves, and you go, I was on a call a couple of weeks ago. I was like, this is a Monday problem. Let's shut our laptops, have a glass of wine, and it will be there on Monday that we can fix. And I think you have to be able, again, it's just adjusting your leadership and being able to know when to push and when to really drive that momentum and when we need to pause.
But that moment for you where you're like, this is a Monday problem, did it take you quite a long time to
Yeah.
develop that skill?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, 100%. And my husband would probably say, it's not that well developed.
We're all learning, doing
Yeah.
our best.
Yeah. Yeah.
But it is quite lovely to think that after years, you know, we all learn so much about ourselves as we grow a little older. And I think that for me, knowing and appreciating that that would have been really hard for you as an account manager and account director, but it's something that's very important to learn, is a great tip for everybody.
Yeah. I think I really, and I remember the ex-CEO of BBH, a guy called Jonathan Bottomley, said this to me years ago. He was like, you don't have to prove yourself anymore, Helen. Like, you don't need to. But I think in lots of ways, having to prove myself has been a real sort of energy source for me and has given me power. But I think, again, it's like the resilience piece. You've got to balance these things and you've got to understand when you do need to either focus on something else in your life or you do need to build up your energy reserves again.
Do you know what it was that drove you forward so hard when you were younger?
I don't know. I think my dad is a big part of it. I think I have a real, my dad's got a real work ethic behind. I really wanted to prove myself to him probably, which is probably the first time I've said that out loud. So appreciating it.
Do you feel like you're still proving yourself?
Yeah.
Or do you feel like you can relax into your leadership a little bit?
No, I think I'll always have that. I think I'll always have this sense of, am I doing enough? And is it good enough? And I think, but being aware of that is the first step, and understanding that that is something that I probably have to wrestle with day in, day out.
So I'm a Gen Xer, and I think there's something very interesting in the work ethic of women in our generation who felt like we had to push so hard to prove ourselves because we were trying to prove that gender equality was, prevalent in the workplace and trying to prove that we mattered too. And, there was a lot of pressure on us. And I think the whole prove yourself, I'm really trying to relax out of. I always wanted to do my best work, but the prove yourself moment,
I agree.
it doesn't feel right anymore.
Yeah.
What's the best piece of advice you could give someone about to start their career in advertising?
Stretch yourself to a point. I think I definitely gave everything to my career early in my working life, and I think that was really beneficial to me and it gave me great foundations, but I think you can push it too far. So I think if you're stepping into advertising, what a brilliant space, especially with what's happening here in our industry now in terms of sort of creativity and how that comes to life. Really get in there, really push yourself, but know your boundaries. And I think I haven't had the best boundaries over my life, and I'm only learning that now at 45, which is crazy. So
it's not though, because we were told to lean in.
Yeah.
And then we fell over.
Yes. I'm still on the floor.
I'm leaning out now, leaning way out. Well, that is it. Thank you so much for
Thank you
joining
for having
us.
me. It's
Really
been wonderful.
appreciate it. Most embarrassing thing you've ever said in a meeting?
I think mine is probably not repeatable, to be honest. So.